Hello, fellow Incarnators. Today we are continuing on our Secrets of the Citadel Ruins. That's part 3. In the last episode, part 2, we went ahead and laid down the terrain, which is the mountains, and the foundations for this battle map. So very exciting. In this one, we're going to be adding in the structures, specifically the ruins part. So I'll show you how to make ruins, how to blend them in with the background or the texture beneath them, and we'll probably cover a little bit more too. We'll see how far we get into it. So I'm super excited about this. Let's just go ahead and jump in. I want to just quickly mention that I did do some changes to this off screen that were not in the last stream, but just know that it was no changes that I did not teach or tell you how to do in the previous stream. So nothing new outside of that. All right. So when you're decorating, when you're working on this, remember it's called Secrets of the Citadel Ruins. I want to create the illusion of ruins. So what I want to do is I'm going to start in the first area. This is where it all starts, right here in the start. You can see here that there's some ruins here, and there's a camp with some shrubbery around. So we'll go ahead and we'll work on that first section, right? Kind of makes sense to start at the start. And what we'll do is we'll do the ruin part. So I'll go into the levels part, and I'll go ahead and select these ruins here, or not the ruins, but that foundation. And the way that I go about doing it is I want to select the nodes, or I'm sorry, the portals tool right here. And what I want to do is create this illusion that some parts of it are ruined. And so I'm going to go ahead and just click and then grab the two hotbars at the end and open it up. And the way that I do this is that I will open it up like that, and then I'll go into the stamp tool and then look for ruin, and then there should be some ruined walls, and I'm just gonna put these like this on the ends like this. And of course I'll have to make some changes to the brightness level. So I go to advanced settings, scroll down, color, and then bring the brightness down, and that way it's around the same brightness as the other one. And then I'll go back. We'll go through here and look for another one that looks kind of good. This one right here looks good. We could use this one right here as well. Maybe we want to flip it. And we'll maybe have it like that. And so there's a section that's open like that. And that's basically how you do it. And then of course you'll throw in some rocks, because whenever you have a broken section, a part of that wall has to go somewhere. Where did the wall go? Did it just disappear? No. So you need to create the rubble part. And I'll even rotate this a little bit so it kind of looks like it kind of broke a little bit that way. And then I'll go back in here and then look up rock. And there's some right here. So this piles of ruin will work just fine. I'll make sure it's down one layer. And also I have to, again, adjust the brightness. And I'll just take a bunch of these and just place them kind of like this. There we go. And so it kind of looks like it, and we'll put some over here too. There we go. And what we're wanting to do is just make it look like there's some ruins there. So one section is broken off, and then we might decide maybe you want to do it to another corner or another section, or maybe you just want to leave it as it is. So that is really up to you. And of course, if you want those, if you want that to look like there's some height there, you would select one and then select all stamps from this set, and then just bring the brightness down a little bit. And then you'll notice that the wall segments pop out a little bit more. And so that way it looks like the fallen rocks are below that broken part of the wall. Now I'm going to select again that room that we made right there, that platform, and I'm going to go into your advanced stroke options. I'm going to turn off the caps so that way there's no caps there. And I think that works better because it looks weird when there's a cap. You know, a cap wouldn't be there if it was broken. It would be falling off somewhere. So I'm not going to have caps on that particular one so that there's ruin there. The other thing that you can also do is to go in and use this cracked ground texture, which works great. Remember in the last one, I made these into clipping masks, the ground. So if I apply this broken ground right here, it kind of adds to it. And in fact, I'm going to go back into the history and remove this. I feel like it was a little too big. So we'll go down to advanced settings and bring the size down. That way we can see more of the cracks. And let's go ahead and apply it like this. And so now you have this nice cracked ground right here. That way it looks like hey, it's ruins, right? It's kind of broken a little bit. So throwing in some cracked ground kind of helps. And we'll continue working on this section. One thing that we can do is obviously put in that campfire. So if I just put in camp, and then we'll put one right here, and you can have, well, maybe center it a little bit. Right here kind of looks good. And if you don't want it centered, then maybe move it off a little bit to the side. Right here, it's really up to you. You can line them up with the staircases, put it randomly somewhere on the side. Really, it depends on what's going on. If you're going to have combat in this first spot, which I don't recommend, usually the first starting area, I don't have any combat. Players are maybe going to talk out their strategy, maybe introduce each other, figure out how they got here. So all of these things really kind of help. Hey, first time chatter, by the way, welcome. So if there's not going to be any combat in here, then you don't have to worry about there not being enough space for players to maneuver around and stuff like that. It's just the beginning place. So I'm not going to worry about placing it strategically so there's room. So I'll just go ahead and just throw it in the center where it lines up with both the stairs. And then I want to create the ruin part, and I'll go ahead and what I think I'll do is I'll actually make a whole different layer for that, and that way I'm not actually messing with the levels itself. So I should delete that, and I'm going to go ahead and put the campfire back down. You notice that it's not within those three groups, it's outside of itself. So that way when I finish creating this area, I can group them and call it section 1 or start objects or stamps or details or whatever it is you want to call it. That's up to you. So we'll put that there. Now let's go ahead and throw in maybe some ruins part that fell down. And because there's not a lot of space here, we don't have to worry about making it big or whatever. Or I can't really, let's see here. Hold on one second. Let me put this together. Here we go. All right. What I might want to do is maybe throw in maybe a longer one here and maybe put it on the side like this. Maybe another one right here. Maybe rotate a little bit so it looks like it fell down. And then we can put another one over here. And we can change as well the brightness. So we'll throw in a couple here, one right here. In fact, I want to make it to where there's two. So one right here and then one right here. And I still want to make sure there's a little bit of room so that players can move around. And I think I'll rotate some of these pieces so they're not perfectly straight because they're ruined, they fell down. So rotate some of them, make it look like they're disheveled, they fall apart or whatever. And now if you want these to look like they're fallen pieces on the ground, don't put a hard shadow on them. But if you want them to look like they're walls, then you might want to change to custom object shadow. And for now, we'll do just the ambient occlusion. And the ambient occlusion just means a dark shadow underneath it so that way it pops out. Remember, we've talked about this in previous videos. You use object shadows or shadows to create contrast. If you want something to pop out, you want darkest dark to lightest light so that it pops out. Notice that those walls are a bit brighter, but when I change the stamp shadow a little bit and then increase the intensity, you'll notice that it looks like they really pop out a lot more. And we'll also play with shadows as well, because you notice that there is a campfire. And when you decide to add a light source onto a section of the map, you do have to factor in that. And we're not going to worry about that now. I usually save details and shadows for the end or near the end. Sometimes you can start some shadows, at least the kind of the global ones, at least the environmental shadow. When it has a light source like a campfire or whatever, I usually just wait until the end because it's its own separate source of light. So we'll go ahead and throw those things down. We did that. And we'll just go ahead and move on to the next one. We'll add more details like maybe some grass, maybe some more rubble on the ground, whatever it might be. So your players start here and then they move into this next section right here. And there's some more ruins in here. And you can even add more ruins to the start, but we'll just move our way and just put on some just the minimalist stuff on each level. And then we can add more to it as we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and zoom out. I just want to make sure I take a good look at this. Yeah, we cross that bridge and then we go over to here. So let's go ahead and do that. And what's really nice is now that we have a little bit more space, we don't have to worry about using small pieces. We might want to consider using the line tool to actually create some of these walls. Why not, right? So we'll go ahead and select the pen, and we're going to show, we're going to make sure that we show the grid, because the grid is helpful. And then we're also going to change over to here, and we'll also turn off caps. I don't want caps on here. It's not necessary, and we'll play with shadows shortly. So let's go ahead and make sure that we have snap to grid. That's at the bottom now. That went in and changed. So I snap to grid, and then I'll go ahead and decide where I want the ruins to be. Now you don't have to follow your reference guide perfectly. Just know, like, hey, there should be some ruins there, and you can decide how you want to put down those ruins. You don't have to copy exactly the reference that you're using. So we can start with maybe creating a ruin that goes in like this. We'll go with a nice corner, and we'll go ahead and change that stroke size as well. There we go. We'll make it a little bit smaller. That's much, much better. And then we can go in and kind of create the outline of a square, basically. And then we can throw on the other ruin parts of it as well. And we'll go ahead and continue to make a little bit more. So we'll put some right here, right here. Corners are a good start. You don't have to follow corners perfectly. You can go ahead and make them separate if you want. It's really up to you how you want to go about doing it. You can go with something kind of like that. And then we'll put one more ruin over here as well. So maybe one right there, like that. Maybe one right there like that. There we go. So now we kind of have that, and it's easy to put together. Now we can go ahead back over to here and then lay down these kind of broken pieces that can go on the end. And I'm going to turn off snap to grid. I don't need it for the stamp necessarily. I only need it for when I'm using the room tool. And then we'll also put one that's just on top like this, so it looks like it fell over. We could put, let's see here, a nice smaller one, another one right here. We'll just put a cap on the end of this one. And we'll maybe have kind of a strange cap that moved to the side. Another one there. And we'll just keep following that kind of process. We can maybe rotate it a little bit. Looks like it fell over. Maybe put one in the corner. Actually, it's the same one. I don't want to use the exact same one. We'll put it up on that corner there. Put one here. And we just keep kind of adding them as where we see fit. Let's go ahead and rotate this one a little bit more so it looks like it's kind of going away. And same thing with this one. We'll put it over here like this so it looks like it kind of fell down. So easy to put together, easy to do. Just build the wall section first and then put the ruinous parts on after that. And that way you have it nice and kind of put together. So you have all these ruins here. That looks good. And of course you want to throw down these rocks right here and make sure it's down a layer. You want to make sure it's below there. So we'll put a couple down here like this, especially where there's a break in the wall. That's where you're going to probably put the most amount of rubble, is where that part has fallen down. So we'll put some there, some here, like this one, some here. And it also works as something that your players can maybe pick up a rock and throw it, or maybe they can hide behind a pile of rubble in a combat. So throwing down that rubble there can act as a weapon, act as an environmental trap. Maybe there's a pile that you can push and it falls down onto an enemy. Maybe you want to push it down to another area so that it blocks passage. So having that rubble, having that stuff there is something your players can interact with. That way combat is so much more interesting, because combat can be really boring when it's the same thing. When there's not much interaction with the environment, your players are going to get bored quickly. Trust me when I say they will get bored quickly. So make sure that you have an environment that they can work with. Now we turn that grid off again, and then we can kind of take a look. Now, I also want to break some sections of this platform as well, so we're going to focus on that. But first, let's go ahead and group things so I know where they're at. I'm going to group this, just press G key after you've selected everything, and call this Start. I'm just going to lock it for now, and then I'm going to grab all this stuff right here, and this is the level 2, so we'll just press G key and call it level 2. Or section 2, whatever you want to call it. It's up to you. Okay. And now I'm not lost. If you look to the right panel, I don't have this long list of stamps that I have to scroll through to find what I'm working looking for. It's just, hey, look, there's start and there's the section 2. That way I know where everything is. It's nicely organized and labeled, easy to find. And when that happens, your workflow is so much quicker. So if you shave off little things like searching for things in the catalog by favoriting, making sure to label things and group things, it will increase the speed. So maybe it took you 5 hours to make a map. Now it will take you 4 because you found ways to speed up your process, okay? So those things are going to be really helpful. One other thing that I might want to, well, let's actually continue with the levels here. Let's go ahead and break up. I want to make sure that I want some sections to be broken. So we'll go ahead and what you do is you just drag over what you want. And so I click that and I'm going to make this section right here just look like it's fallen apart. So one there. We'll put another one right here so it looks like it's kind of fallen apart. And let's go ahead and just take a step back for a minute and take a look at it. Yep, that looks good. But what I might want to do is consider turning off the caps for this again. So I'll go ahead and just turn caps off. There we go. And I'm going to stay within the group because this is a part of the foundation. So I'll stay within that group and I'll go ahead and just start placing down just like I did before. Just start throwing down some stamps. And let's put one inside of here like this. There we go. And another one right here. Maybe one that kind of looks like it fell down. Kind of like that. And I might even want to consider throwing down even another one. Maybe over here somewhere. Let's go ahead and say, right, which way is that facing? That way we'll put one right here going, well, let's put one on the ground or something. I think that might be okay. Yeah, one right there. That looks okay. All right. Now, of course, we want to do that rubble thing that we did before. So throw down some rubble and also just to hide the clipping masks. Notice you see that there is the clipping mask right here. We want to hide that. And you can just cheat. Just throw down some rubble underneath it so that way it doesn't show. So really, it's kind of a sneaky trick. You can just throw down that rubble and we'll make sure to put some also in other places. Not so it's just all right where there's a broken area. Just right there so that way you can see some. There we go. So now you're really kind of getting that ruined feeling that we were looking for, right? And what we'll also do is we'll change up the texturing within these ruins so that way it looks more like there's a different type of texture because I don't want the textures to be all the same. You notice that whole level right there is filled with the exact same texture. I don't want to do that. So we might put down some other stuff. Let's go ahead and work on doing that. First, let's go ahead and throw in some inner walls. You notice that all I have is the shell of the ruins, but I don't have the inner walls. So let's throw in some inner walls. I recommend showing the grid so that way I can place these wall segments. So now we're going to get more of that ruin feeling because we've ended up creating the inner wall parts. So we'll throw down, oh, oopsie, my mistake. I'm doing this in the wrong group. So let's go back to section 2. There we go. Now I can go ahead and throw in the wall sections. You know, sometimes you have to catch yourself. And let's go ahead and make sure that I have a custom object shadow. And in fact, I'm not going to place it yet. I'm going to do the editing before I place it so that way I can keep the same shadow settings. We'll increase the intensity, shadow blur a little bit more. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and place that. There we go, on each section. So now it looks more like a ruin because you have those inner walls as well. So it's nice to have that. So let's put another one right here. There we go. And now you have different rooms basically within there. So let's continue adding more rooms. And I'm placing them like this one there. We can put another one. Let's take a look here. Oh, I kind of like another one right there maybe. There we go. Okay, so now it looks more like an actual room with different rooms and stuff. Let's go ahead and throw on a texture underneath. We don't have to be within a group to throw down a texture. So we'll go ahead and hit the B key or click the brush tool. And we will obviously put down some cracked ground just a little bit, maybe around the edges here, especially where there's it's been broken up. And I'm going to turn the grid off for now. Let's go ahead and turn that off. And what I'll do for a texture is I'm not going to use a texture that has like tile on it because I don't want it to have a grid. I don't want it to have to deal with the grid. So what I'll do is I'll pick a texture that maybe is just quite a bit different. So I can go in and just kind of scroll through, and there's a lot of options that you can kind of choose from. Like I could use this stone floor right here. I think this looks good. And as always, you need to change the scale of it, and you're going to change the brightness and the color as well. So let's go ahead and just scale it down a little bit. And then let's also change the color to where it's a bit darker. Remember, you want your ground textures to be darker than your wall stamps textures, whatever you're using for your walls, okay? Let's go ahead and just apply it once and just see what it looks like. And I kind of like a little bit of that brown in it because there's also the brown from the landscape. But what I don't want to do is fill it in the whole thing. I want to bring the opacity down a bit. So I'll bring the opacity down, and then I can just have some sections have some of that texture while other sections don't. And so I'll go ahead and just multiple strokes, and we'll go ahead and bring it up a little bit more so I don't have to do quite as many strokes. There we go, fill it in like this. And don't forget to rotate the textures as well. So if I go back to placement, go to rotation, and make sure that I kind of rotate it, because if all the textures are rotated the same way, especially ones that have lines like these kind of textures, and we'll go ahead and just throw this down like this. There we go, that looks good. Let's put that same texture again right here, just over where that wall is. And let's put it again over here. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and step back and take a look at it and make sure that it looks okay. Yeah, there is a distinct difference between the floor that is within the buildings, ruins, and then there is a distinct texture that's on the outside of the ruins, so that way there's no mistake, like, hey, this is the inside of a ruin, this is the outside of a ruin. All right, now I've made 312 changes we should probably save. I generally recommend that you save probably around 100 or so, but I know you can get caught up in the process, you're having fun, and then you go, oh, my goodness, look at the time. And then you realize I should probably save. So we'll go ahead and save this. We'll look at my time here. We still got about 18 minutes left in this stream. I try to cap it off at about 40 minutes. But we're moving along quickly. We've added so much already. So we're really, really moving along, and I really like that. So let's go up to the next level and see what we have. We have more ruins, and we even have another camp. Now, you don't have to have a camp on each section if you don't want to. It just depends if your players have done a lot of combat, a lot of puzzle solving. They need to heal, they need to rest, they need to regroup, recoup. Then maybe put a campfire on that next level. If not, then don't worry about it. It's up to you. It's just, for me, it's a signature thing that I like to add. You do not have to do that. So we'll, of course, start with the campfire first. And let's actually have this one not having a light source. So I'll go ahead and put that in the corner right there. And we'll just say, hey, look, there's no fire going on in that corner. And then, of course, we'll throw down some ruins. And what's really nice is we, of course, have this. Let's go ahead and turn the grid back on. And let's turn snap to grid back on. And we'll go ahead and make those ruins, okay? So let's go ahead and start here. Click. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and throw in, besides those perfect, those other shapes like this. So I'll go ahead and throw in some additional shapes, something different, right? And so we have a nice section there. Let's make sure to throw in a ruin that goes in right here. And we'll continue with that, that corner kind of method. And what's nice is maybe have one corner, maybe have one section of the corner be longer than the other. So that way it's not perfectly symmetrical. I can just throw a section right here and then throw another section right here and just actually keep going one down. Go like this. That looks good. Let's throw another one right here. And then maybe we'll throw in corner pieces here. And we're just making the outline of the floor plan. That's it. So not complex. Cool. And then we can go in again, throw in these wall sections, right? Just like we did before. And I want to turn off the snap to grid because it's just annoying. And we can turn off the grid. We don't need to see it. And then we'll go ahead and throw these pieces down just to make sure. We'll put one maybe on top right here like this. There we go. maybe another section right here. And so you really get to kind of make some fun little broken areas. And so you guys are beginning to see the process, I hope, how it generally works for me, you know, and it's pretty easy to put together and it's a lot of fun. Okay, throw another one right there. Okay, and then we can go in and throw in those next sections, right, to make it look like they're rooms. So we'll throw in maybe that one, and then we'll put in another one. This one right here looked good. We'll put that one right there and that corner, because we want to make sure that it looks like there are different rooms. Okay, put one right there, and another one right. Oh, that's the same one. I don't try not to use the exact same one every time. Another one right there, and then let's put another one right. Oops, my bad. I probably should unselect the other one first. There we go. Okay, so now we have some rooms, and then we can throw down that texture, right? So we'll go ahead and flip this back around and throw in this different texture here. And then maybe we want to have it going the other way, like this. Okay, there we go. Okay, and now you have that nice section there, and of course we want to make sure we throw down some rubble as well in those broken sections, so we'll throw down some rubble. Let's go ahead and I think I can put them down one layer. Yes, I can. Cool. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that. Drawing down the rubble. This looks good. And we're getting a lot done very quickly, and I really, really like that. It's nice to see that we're moving very, very, very quickly, getting a lot done. And of course, you know, with those new shape and line tools, you now can work so much faster. It's basically cut down my time in half for making maps, which is extremely helpful, right? So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and lock this, and we can select every single one of this stuff right here, create group, and call this level 3 or section 3. Really, you can change it to whatever you want. Yep, section 2, section 3, section, and the different levels, access, start, and mountains, right? Everything's there. I'll go ahead and make sure to lock that as well. So now everything, again, nice, neatly organized in the right panel. We'll make a couple more changes and then we'll save. We're making good time. We still have 13 minutes, so we'll go ahead and add in the last bit of stuff up here. We just need to go up to this next level right here. There's a summoning circle. It looks like there's a statue there, and there is a fire or a campsite. And I'm just gonna end up just removing that. These two are too close together, so I won't do that. So let's go ahead and go to our catalog and look up summon. And then the summoning circles will pop up. I'm just gonna use the same summoning circle from here. So let's go ahead and place that down like that. And of course, I want to make sure that it's around the same texture. So if I go to normal and I just hit luminosity, I can do that, bring the brightness up, and then bring the contrast down a little bit so that way it kind of blends in a little bit more with the ground beneath it. There you go. And we'll make sure that maybe the star is facing a certain way. So we'll go ahead and do that, I think, will work good. And then we also want to put down a statue, right? So we'll go back in, type in statue. You know, there's a couple that you can choose from. It was a circular one. So I'll go ahead and do that, and it goes well with the circle. And in this area, I kind of wanted the statue to come alive and attack the users or the players. So we'll go ahead and place that there on top. And the way to make it pop out, of course, is to adjust the shadows. So that way it looks like it's a little higher up. There we go. Shadows are nice and dark. And then that pops out. So quick, easy, kind of a very simple section to make. Just 2 stamps. And then of course, you know, you can throw in other things if you want to. 122 changes. Let's save it. And then we'll add in some more details to the map. And we'll also probably in part 4, we're going to go over shadows, lighting, all that fun stuff, filters, all that other stuff. We're going to be using the top layer. We're going to be covering a lot of really fun stuff in the next stream. So we'll wait for this to save, and then we'll go ahead and throw on these next details. And what we have really is we have some grassy sections, and I think that's good to throw that in. So let's go ahead and throw in the cracked ground in this area over here, which we didn't complete. So we'll go ahead and throw that. And I want to make sure that these cracks also show up on the interior as well, to make it look like, hey, it's broken up a bit. So we'll throw that cracked ground in here, and then we'll throw down some grass. And throw in some shrubbery, because I think what we have is a lot of grays and browns, but if we throw in some green, it's really going to look a lot nicer. So we'll go ahead and throw in that cracked ground into those areas. And now we're going to throw in some grass. And the way that I kind of do this is that you can use this moss right here. And I'm going to place some down real quick just to see how it looks. And I think that's good. We might want to make it a little bit darker. So I'll go to color, bring the brightness down. A little bit darker is good. And let's go ahead and just apply a little bit here and there in different sections. So maybe I'll put some just right here, maybe right here. And then I can put some on the outside of it. And it's okay to put some on the inside too, because it's a ruin, right? It's growing. So we'll throw some in there, throw some over here, some over here. And you kind of see that, I'm just throwing in little patches to kind of give it this illusion that there's some grass growing there. I might even want to make these a little bit brighter. Let's go back to, because this is higher up. Remember we followed that rule about, you want to show that something is higher up, you use contrast. So we'll go ahead and make this a little bit lighter. Now, whenever you have a section of moss or grass that uses a texture, it's a great place to start putting down some grass on top of those areas. So if you go into that catalog here and we type in grass or whatever you want to use, you don't have to use grass. You can just type in forest and you'll get a bunch of stuff here. You could throw in these forest floor plants. You could throw in some of these ferns right here. It's really up to you how you want to go about doing it. And we'll go ahead and we'll throw this down. And I'm going to place it down first just to see what it looks like. That is really bright. So I'll go ahead and bring the brightness down. And I'm going to change the custom shadow as well to where it's centered. There we go. And the trick with putting down grass is to just put down one big one first in each one of these sections. 1, 2, 1 there, maybe one here. You don't have to put it in every section, but just go ahead and place them in some of these areas. And then once you've done that, then you can go in and make them smaller. So let's throw in some smaller variations in there. Let's throw in some small ones here. Because you know what makes something look natural is the variation. When you go out into nature, you see there is a lot of variation in the plant life, a lot of variation in the flora and the fauna. And so you want to mimic that. You don't have to follow reality perfectly, but if you mimic it enough, the map becomes more believable to your players. So throwing in a variation of sizes really helps to give it a more natural feel to it. That's why I always throw down, small, large, medium, small sizes of whatever plant life that I'm putting down. And of course, you take a look at it and you kind of have this nice grass, and then we also want to throw down maybe some vines as well. So if I just type in vines, I can throw that in. And what I like to do is to have maybe one section that's completely been overrun with vines. And so what I might want to do is maybe make a section over here that's completely covered in vines right here. And then what that does is it kind of creates this illusion of something has been there for a while. When you throw down a lot of vines or a lot of plant life on a ruined area, it can help to show or convey to your players or the people who are looking at the map how old or how long those ruins have been there. So throwing in a lot of shrubbery or a lot of vines kind of gives the illusion that these have been a ruin for a long time. So I was just going to throw it in mostly this section down here, and maybe I even wanted to have it kind of draping down into this next level right here. This really will kind of create this nice feeling that I like, and I'll make sure I'm going to put them up a layer as well, so that way it's on top. There we go, here, maybe put some on here as well. Let's take a step back. Yeah, I like that. Let's continue. Let's make a line of, what we're going to do is we're going to create this, a curve where the vines are. So I'll put some here, here. And so that way it kind of looks like there's a continuity in the growth. So I'll throw some over here, and then I'll put some over here, here. And you can see now that there's a pattern. I'm kind of creating this arch of vines like this. And so that way it has this natural kind of feel to it, and the eye can follow that bright green or that dark green line without it going, getting scattered everywhere. So we'll throw in a couple more. We might even want to consider throwing some over here as well at the start. Maybe just a little bit. I don't want to put in too much. There we go, right there. And then maybe some over here where the ruins has fallen down. Let's go ahead and take a step back and look at it. Yeah, things are going good. Let's go ahead and save. And I think we are almost out of time. So we'll go ahead and conclude this stream after the save. I hope you found a lot of these techniques useful. I hope that it worked out well. And I'm very excited for part 4, where we're going to throw in more details, more rubble, more textures, light sources, shadows, filters, you name it. We're going to throw down everything because so far, everything kind of looks flat. But we're going to use that top layer and use a color to really allow these sections to look like, hey, this one is way higher up. But that's why we save shadows for last. Don't make it difficult for yourself. So, hey, thank you everyone for watching. Really enjoyed having you here. I really like the way really like the direction this is going in, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. Please stay safe and healthy. Merry map making, and I will see you all again soon for our next stream. Auf Wiedersehen, everybody.